You got the touch.
This is Stan Bush, and this epic video from Baltmatrix truly has the touch.
Hey guys, welcome to the video review of Transformers Generations Voyager-class Springer. This figure was first debuted at the 2013 Toy Fair convention in New York City, and as soon as I saw it, I said I had to have it. This figure is just strikingly gorgeous in robot mode. He is a little bit thinner than his traditional G1 aesthetic, but I don't mind that at all. In fact, I think the thinness actually makes the idea of Springer a little bit better to me. It's very good looking in robot mode, and overall, it's perfect. I mean, it's in robot mode, it is perfect. I'm kind of blown away here, guys. I really am impressed. Now, a lot of folks don't like the IDW shoulders. That is the effect we have here in the shoulders of these shoulder pads. Well, I'll show you how we can actually fix that as part of the transformation. Those slide and hide out of the way nice and easily. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the figure and his accessories. Taking a look at his accessories first, he comes with this gun that is on a kind of a moving hinged handle here, which is a little odd, but well. The gun does fire just by pushing this button. There are no springs, they just launch via pressure. So they are a mechanized pressure gun. It's an overall good-looking gun, if a little bit on the big side, but not a huge deal. I do actually kind of like it. The sword, on the other hand, is awesome. It is just about perfect. Now, there are a couple of little gimmicks with the sword, actually. First off, it is a sword, and it does split open to form the helicopter blades for his helicopter mode. Now, when you fold the blades open, you take the hilt here and put it up like that, which locks the blades into place and then allows the thing to spin freely. Brilliant idea. I mean, just brilliant. It doesn't feel like it's going to break at all, and it works well. I mean, I'm surprised that Hasbro was able to pull this off so successfully. So, returning it to the blade mode, fold the hilt down and peg it into these little teeth here, and then just fold the blades up and snap them together. And there's actually a little peg there that snaps it in, which sometimes it's a little difficult to line up, but it's solid and really, really cool. I think my only complaint is I would like to see it have more silver paint. I'll take care of that later with my own paint, but for now, it works just fine. Springer's head sculpt and face are really nice. He does have some light piping here on the back of the head with his nice baby blues once the light piping does work. His face is grimaced though, which is odd. He's just kind of frowning, grimacing. I'm not sure about why they did that, but okay, not a big deal. Nothing a little bit of paint won't fix. Now, the shoulders, those shoulder pads, as I was talking about, they are on sliders, and they just slide straight down. So, if you don't want to, you do not have to have those shoulders displayed. I personally like the shoulders, so I leave them up. If there was anything I had to complain about this figure, my one complaint, and one slight issue, is the actual shoulder pads are actually pretty thin plastic. And they're unpainted compared to the yellow right here, or these yellow pieces that are on the back of his elbows. These are painted yellow, while these are just thin-ish pieces of plastic that are translucent in spots. It's not coming across in the video, but you can see translucent. You can see through the actual plastic a little bit. Not a huge deal, but it is a little bit annoying to my eye. And the yellow paint here on the headlights is different from the yellow on the plastic. Again, not a huge deal, by no means is it a deal breaker, just a little bit annoying to my eye. Posability of this figure is fantastic. First off, he is not top heavy or side heavy or any heavy in the least, so you could get a ton of great poses for this guy. Head is on a ball joint. Shoulders are on a ball joint. Swivel just above the elbow Elbow is a nice tight ratchet joint that bends at 90 degrees. Torso, there is some limited torso articulation, though you do have to fiddle with this piece on his back and move it out if you want to get some real torso articulation. Hips are on a double swivel, so you've got the swivel for forward and back, and then another swivel for in and out. One underneath that is another swivel joint for backwards and forward for torsion. Ratchet at the knee. Feet are on a little bit of a weird component for the transformation, but they have a little bit of movement in them. Not a whole lot, but enough for us to pull off some decent poses. Overall, though, the figure just standing looks awesome. I just love the overall look of the figure as he's standing static. It's just such a nice looking figure. Now compare him with Blitzwing. He is actually just a hair shorter than Blitzwing, which makes a little bit of sense. I always thought that Blitzwing was going to be a much better, or is a much bigger character than Springer. But as you can see, he is just a hair bit shorter than Blitzwing. Just a minute of fiddling and I was able to pull off this very nice pose. One thing I did forget to mention is that the fists do swivel 360 like this. Like my hand swivels. But overall, as I said, the posability of this figure is great, and you can pull off some great poses. I just lack the overall imagination needed to come up with some really nice poses. Both transformations start off in robot mode. That's really the best beginning point for both. So we're going to do the helicopter mode first, because believe it or not, that's actually the easier of the two modes. To start with, turn the figure around and slide the shoulder pads down, like that. Then take the arms and make sure they are straight and just kind of pull them forward. Open up the inner forearm and just fold those down. When you do that, take these wings on the outer forearms and unpeg them and bend them out a bit so they're 90 degrees from the actual arm. Then fold the fist up into the forearm and fold that canopy or the inner forearm back up. And do the same thing over here. Like that. And when you're done there, take the arms, and there's actually a hidden hinge inside there, and fold that up and then peg these pieces together. And this, you kind of have to just fiddle with it until you can get it folded up on that double hinge and peg it in. So really what we want to do is fold it straight out, fold it in on the inner hinge, fold that up along the outside of the arm, and peg that into place like that. Once you do that, grab the chest, and actually get your nails in there, and just unpeg the outer chest pieces from the chest. And then when you do that, peg those outer chest pieces into the inside of the arms, and bring them down along the torso. Then take the robot head and push the robot head down as far as it'll go, and fold the chest piece up while folding out the landing gear. And then peg that chest piece into the canopy along the back. Then you could fold the head up into the chest cavity like that. Then once you do that, you could bring the outer chest pieces and the arms all the way down along the torso. Next up is actually the more difficult part. Well, first an easy part, then a difficult part. First thing we're going to do is take the heels and fold them up into the feet, and then take the feet and slide them back along the bottom of the leg and fold them up to form the back of the vehicle mode. Then make sure the legs are positioned straight and bring the inner bottom legs together while pushing on the knees. There are hinges hidden here that allow for a little bit of flex. Not a whole lot, but they do allow for a little bit. And then take these, I'm not sure what you would call these, knee spurs, and fold them down as far as they will go. Next, take this piece on the back and fold it down and just kind of wiggle it into the back of the thighs. And it should, if you've got everything lined up right, it should just easily go in like that. Finally, take the sword and turn it into the helicopter blades like I showed you before. So split the sword apart, fold the blades down, flip the green piece up and peg it into the top of this mode. And then this is where things get a little strange. It looks like it's hitting, so what we want to do is ratchet the knees down a little bit so that the blades have clearance. And that is it. That is the helicopter mode. One last thing I forgot to do is just take these tail fins and fold them down, so you have a much more cohesive look to the helicopter. Overall, I think this helicopter mode is fantastic. I will admit it is a little bit strange proportion-wise, but overall it's quite good. It's stable, it looks cool, and it's definitely Springer. I mean, this looks like Springer, or at least a modern take on the traditional G1 Springer. Overall, I think this is a great mode. I really, really like this mode. Now, yes, again, we have a little bit of paint issue with the lamps here. When it comes back around, you'll see it. It casts some weird shadows, and the two paints don't really gel. I mean, the paint here for the lamps and the overall translucentness of the yellow plastic is a little bit odd, but I'm going to talk to a couple of friends of mine that are paint people, or that are Radicons, or customizers, and just I asked them ideas on what I could do to fix that. Nothing some paint won't fix. But overall, I think this figure is, I think this alt mode is fantastic. In the helicopter mode, you can attach the gun to the front of the vehicle. First, fold up the landing gear. Now, on the gun, turn it around so that the handle is pointing up. There is this little protrusion right here, right between my fingers. This is the only spot where it will peg into. And that will slide into this little area right underneath the landing gear. It's not easy to get it in there, but you just kind of have to fiddle with it until it snaps into place. And there you can have the gun deployed. And that looks pretty good, actually. Otherwise, I'm not sure where you're going to be able to peg it in. There's really no place for you to peg the gun mode in. But overall, I think having the gun there is pretty cool, though it does off-balance things with the rear landing gears a little bit. Just a little bit. As you can see, it does look a little silly. Oh, nothing. Oh, there we go. It works-ish. We're going to return the figure to robot mode, or as close to robot mode as we need to get. So just folding things back around and folding things back into place to get him back into robot mode. Because, well, you can go straight from one mode, or one helicopter mode, to the car mode. I find it's better to just return him to robot mode to show you guys the full transformation. I think that just will work better. The one thing I am a little bit worried about, this right here at the knee, that bend, I'm worried that that could potentially break at some point. I am worried about that, but just as long as I'm a little bit careful and know that that's there, I think I'll be okay. Alright, so what like I said, I'm returning him to mostly robot mode. So, just to show you guys the transformation. So, I've returned him, as you can see, mostly to robot mode. The one bit I'm going to leave is just the arms, or the hands folded up into the forearms, and these bits folded all the way out. And we will go to the full car mode from here. I think that would just be a better idea. Okay, so what we're going to start off with is taking these inner forearm bits and fold them all the way out behind the figure, like that. Next, we are going to turn the figure around and grab the backpack and pull it off and fold it all the way down, get the legs out of the way, and fold it all the way back and peg it into place, right there. Now that we've got the back part in place, push the head down a little bit, fold the chest piece up carefully, take the head and fold... Jeez, it's stuck again. Come on. One thing you have to be careful of is this head, sometimes it just catches for some reason on either the landing gear or on the plastic here, so just be wary of that. So fold the head in, fold the chest piece up, fold the landing gear up. So now, what are we going to do with the arms? Well, we're actually going to fold them back up and snap them into place, thus snapping. So we fold that stuff up like this, and we'll snap it into place, and then make sure that the legs are up and out of the way so that we can get this fin underneath the thigh and peg all this stuff into place. Now, I'm just going to do it loosely for right now because I want you guys to see how everything kind of lines up. And it kind of doesn't, but you just kind of have to work with it until everything snaps into place. Now that we've done that, we can take these bits that are on the front of the wheels, flip them around, and slide them down to form the sides of the car. So slide them down and into place. Now, my figure does not seem to want to have the correct amount of clearance or snap into place on the right shoulder. So it doesn't look like it's all the way in. Even though it is, it just kind of pops back out of place. Well, the next thing we're going to do is connect the legs, or the lower legs, to each other and make sure they are folded up as far as they will go. And then take the feet and slide them straight back like we did earlier with the helicopter mode. Then take the feet and unpeg them from the knee, from just below the knees, and flip them around, and they will peg into place on the inside of, on the outside right here. So flip that around, just make sure it's clearances everything. Turn these wings around to form spoilers and flip this back section down, and here we go. In the armored car mode, you can turn the figure upside down and store the sword there, which is really, really cool. So just bring the sword back together, and then take these knee spurs, fold them up, and there are little pegs on the inside of the knee spurs. So there's a peg right there. They will actually peg into the back of the green part, or the green hilt. So fold them all the way out, and then kind of just get it so that at least one of them pegs in, like that. And it should rest comfortably underneath the vehicle mode like this. Like that. So it just stores nice and neat underneath the vehicle mode, which I greatly appreciate. The armored car mode is really cool, in my opinion. Now, I do have an issue where it doesn't look like everything wants to stay pegged into place, but I think that's just me being really bad at the transformation still. I've transformed this a good 10 times, and I don't think I've got it quite perfect yet. But the figure is really good looking in this mode. I think this mode is the stronger of the two alt modes. That being said, though, I still think I suck at this transformation, as opposed to there being any quality control issues. As you can see, I have paneling problems along the sides here, or along the panels here and here, just on the top of the vehicle mode. But, like I said, I think that's a problem with me and not with the figure. Along with holding the sword on the bottom of the figure, you can deploy the gun to the top of the figure, and it acts like a rotating cannon that moves up and down, which I greatly appreciate. That would be the reason for the flexible the flexible hinge there. I really like the look of it, though it does kind of look like something out of Mask with the cannon on here. Returning the figure to robot mode is easy enough. Just flip down the rear wheels to be the legs. Come along here and pull out the front wheels from the body. Reach up and pull out the landing gear for the helicopter mode. And then just do the flip up the head while flipping down the chest piece. And bring the shoulders up again to peg into the chest. That will allow us to, then we can flip out or around this fist. Get that pegged into place. Oop, gotta move these bits first. Pull them out and flip them up above the wheels on the shoulders. And then we could flip these bits around to form the forearms, flip out the fists. Pull the legs out, bring the backpack up into place, flip up the butt flap, and flip out the feet and the heels. Now, when the figure came in the box, these rear spoilers were actually turned up along the backs of the feet, or backs of the legs. I prefer to have them folded down to act as double heels. That's just a personal preference of mine. Overall, Springer is a fantastic figure and really belongs in your collection. I really like this figure. I think it's a really just great figure. And I can't wait for some Radicons or some customizers to get a hold of this guy to really up the paint scheme, specifically Cheetamus Prime or Frenzy Rumble. Now, what figure of these two would I recommend? I would recommend the Springer figure. I can't recommend the Blitzwing figure. If you want, go back and watch my Blitzwing review, which is the review just before Springer. There are a lot of problems with Blitzwing. His robot mode is great. All the other modes are terrible, though. Well, I don't know about terrible, but they're not fun. Springer, on the other hand, all of his modes are good. His transformation is fun. His robot mode is just my version of a perfect Springer figure. So guys, pick this one up. Get this one. Only get the Blitzwing if you absolutely have to have him. But guys, Springer is by far the better of the two. So guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you next time, and have a great weekend.